Most Explorer yachts sacrifice style for range, but not this one. The Outer Reef 780 promises steel strength, transatlantic capability, but something you rarely see in this sector: modern design. Explorer yachts are often built tough, but they can end up looking a bit boxy and boring. The 780 Adventure flips the script a little bit. It has ocean-going capability, but design that might also turn your head. In this video, I'm going to show you what's good, what's bad, and why, if you've not considered an Explorer this size yet, you might do now. I'm Jack Haines, welcome to YachtBuyer. Before we get on with the tour, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit subscribe and that bell icon, you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. Right, let's crack on with this one. The 780 Adventure, a big moment for Outer Reef, the first time they are building in steel, but they're doing it in partnership with a company who knows a lot about it, Link Shipyard in the Netherlands. They specialise in support vessels, so this is essentially based on a support vessel platform, all steel, over 100 tons. It is a proper beast, hence why you have things like this. So these are really for a support vessel when you've got the tender coming alongside to protect the bathing platform, but you know what, quite useful on a boat like this as well. And you can take them off too, and they'll stow in this massive locker within the bathing platform. This is fixed, all the tenders and toys are stored up on the bow. We're going to see those later on. This massive hatch is access to a lazarette into the engine room. Again, we're going to go into that at the end of the video. For now, let's stay on deck and have a look at the cockpit. Now, being constructed from steel, everything looks and feels very robust, even down to the mooring gear here, all on this top platform, two big chunky cleats, fair lead as well, and of course winches at the back so you can tighten the lines. It's very beamy as well. There's lots and lots of space in this cockpit, and what's quite remarkable throughout, to be honest, in the ceiling heights, look how much space there is above my head here. Now you can put screens on both sides, so if you are sitting here on passage cruising at about 10 knots, you're not getting the wind funneling around the side, this would be a really nice spot to be. And I'm going to mention it right now, it is extremely customizable. Outer Reefs are in general, even their GRP boats, but this, because you haven't got bulkheads, you really can do pretty much whatever you want. So this cockpit area, totally up for grabs. I quite like this, split tables, and having those corner seats is really nice. This is a bench, but these are just weighted down, so you can move these wherever you like. So if you want to create a sun pad looking aft, you can do that, or if you want to create a sun pad facing forward. Of course, there's quite a lot of protection, so it's not going to be drenched in sunlight, but still a really nice place. And you've probably spotted the model over here. This is a smaller version, a 540, which is around 56 feet, that's going to come out next year. So yeah, the 780 is going to spring off an entire line of adventure models. This is just the first one in the range. And there are some things that you can do with this layout that do change the feel of the boat. So for example, you can extend the wheelhouse so it comes to about here, giving you a shorter cockpit, but more space inside. And talking of that, let's have a look at the sling. Now, which layout you go for will depend on where you're going to use the boat probably. If you're going to be in colder climes, you probably want the extended saloon because you'll be spending more time inside. If you're going to be in warm climes, this feels like a good balance. Nice amount of cockpit space, but still, look at the space in the saloon. Again, it's not just the beam, but the ceiling heights, they are absolutely massive. It does feel cavernous in here, and you've got huge windows as well. Now, this is what they might describe quite a basic spec in terms of fit out. You can really upgrade this if you want to. This is quite simple, quite pared back, a little bit sterile. Maybe this is a little bit waiting room in here with the layout and also the palette, but you could brighten it up with the owner's effects. But there's no denying how good the space is, and there's storage underneath all of these sofas too. Big TV, and pretty much anywhere in the saloon apart from the seats here, you can see that really easily. But even when you're inside, you know, on passage sitting down, you've still got a nice view out. And the feeling of space for a 78 footer, because of the head heights, is really remarkable. Loads of storage on this side, but this is a liverboard long range boat, so storage is really crucial, and you've got loads of it. You know, cupboard storage on either side here, all of these drawers. And of course, this is separate to the galley. Now, if you do go for that extended wheelhouse version, you can have a more formal dining area. This is your diner here. Obviously, the table goes up and down and opens out, but if you want a more formal dining table, you can do that. Either way, your galley is up here amidships. So there's another layout you can have, which is a sort of semi-asymmetric deck layout. So here you can push out this section right to the beam, meaning you get a bigger galley and a little bit more space to move around in here. I think although it's not enormous in this particular style, it's very well laid out. You've got a really good amount of cooking space over here with extraction overhead. You've got a decent sized dishwasher as well. Again, it all builds in this liveaboard theme. You're going to be on board for a long time. You want all of the domestic stuff to be easy. But I think the most impressive thing is the cooling space. Look at the size of these fridges and freezers. They are gigantic for a boat of this size. Fridge on that side, full standing deep freezer on this side. Additionally, you have an extra fridge like this downstairs and another freezer in the lazarette. I'll show you that space later on. So people often talk about having these smaller explorer yachts. Yeah, you're compromised by actually can you live on board for long periods of time, no matter how capable they are on the water. What about storage? What about cooling? Well, not an issue on this boat. And of course you can have crew on board, so you can slide this off. There's a partition door there, but they can still get out on deck through this side door and around the boat to serve the guests. On the way to the bridge, you have this atrium here. There's a bit of storage on this side, but mainly this is your staircase down to the lower deck. There's 4 cabins down there. We're going to check those out in a moment. Beforehand, let's look at the business end. And it is very business-like. The STID fully adjustable helm seat, that's lovely. This upright dashboard with your 2 enormous screens. This again is really flexible. You can put screens up here as well if you want, but you know, this is quite a simple but effective arrangement. You're going to have everything you need on display here. Obviously you've got your twin throttles controls. We've got a bow thruster, got autopilot down here, and this is a full displacement boat. So it's got a pair of 425 horsepower Cummins, top speed around 12 knots, can cruise at 10 knots, but if you really want to extend the range to 3,000 nautical miles, which it can do, you're going to be doing around 7 knots. So it will give Nordhaven a run for its money. And on that note, if you want to compare it to its rivals, including the likes of Nordhaven, go to yachtbuyer.com. You can use our head-to-head tool to see how they compare side to side. The other nice thing about this bridge arrangement is this area over here. And we see these a lot, often on bigger yachts. This type of space is behind the helm seat. I really like that you're alongside the helm seat. Now there is space to have 2 STIDs here if you wanted to, but this is great because it's a nice place to sit on passage, but it's also a really nice study. This is like a great big desk with a fielded edge, so you can put your laptop on. Not that it should roll around too much because you have got fin stabilizers, but even so, if you're going to work somewhere, it's nice to be up here looking forward. You've got a great view all around, and it's also a really great navigation space. Lay out the charts here, do your paperwork. It's a really functional area. There's storage running underneath as well. It works really nicely, and it's got a side door on the starboard side out to the side deck. Let's head out there. The steel design just adds such heft all over the place. This door, it's like a bank vault, and as you move forward, this really does feel like a almost commercial working space, to be honest. Obviously this hasn't got any decking on it, which given the purpose is probably sensible. It's here just to stow the and really as a space for crew to use, and there's plenty of toy space too right forward here. That is a 4.5 meter tender, but this crane could easily lift a 6 meter, and there's space for a 6 meter if you wanted one. You could have 2 jet skis like this side by side. You can have a stand-up one behind it as well, so you really can indulge in your toys and tenders on board this thing. The other thing I'll point out from up here is if you have that sort of asymmetric arrangement where you have the extended galley, this side deck is closed off. You can only get out through the side door, whereas here you can walk all the way around. This is totally symmetrical, just a sacrifice you make if you want a little bit more galley space. It's such a practical machine. Right up here at the bow even, you've got this enormous 4-peak locker that you can genuinely climb right down inside. Access to the chain, obviously you've got the windlass up here, but all the anchor chain coils down there, all the lines are stowed down there, and you can put really big inflatable fenders all the way down there as well. That will swallow absolutely everything. You can climb down into it really easily. Final thing to look at here, this very purposeful looking hatch is actually access to the crew cabin, but there's a clear issue. If you don't have that internal door that I mentioned, this is the only way down there. So if you're battering through a storm as a member of the crew, you've got to come on deck, open this hatch and climb down into the cabin space. So you definitely want that internal door. We're going to look at the space later on because I want to finish off the deck spaces first, up there at the Flybridge. There are even options when it comes to the Flybridge staircase. You can have an external one like this, you can have an internal one that leads up from the saloon, or if you really want, you can have both. But that works quite nicely tucked away on the side deck there, not gobbling up space down in the cockpit. And this is where this range really separates itself from your typical explorer style boat. If you think about a Nordhaven or a Fleming, this Flybridge is so much more leisure focused. It feels quite super yachty up here. It is huge. Look at the size of this sun pad, and like downstairs, these are just weighted with friction, so you can slide these anywhere you want on this sun pad. Really nice fixed dining table right amidships, like how it runs across the boat. That works really well, and it's protected by what is a very substantial hardtop. Close to the bar as well, that's crucial, clearly. This boat's not got a grill, but you can spec it if you want, but you have got some really good cooling space and storage here. And opposite, quite conveniently, they've got the model of the support vessel that this boat is actually based on. So it's using all the same hull, running gear, essentially the engineering is identical. This has got leisure on top, whereas this one is all about toy storage. But you can see this is designed to carry heavy stuff, a big crane on there, so all the weight is nice and low, really good low centre of gravity, which should help with stability when this thing is out on the water. And then right forward, I really like this. It's such a nice seating area, loads of space up here for guests to sit down and relax. But what you can do is replace this portion and have a helm station, which is something I think I would like to do. I'd like to be able to drive the boat up here. I think that would be a nice addition to this layout. Great for manoeuvring as well. At the moment, you're only manoeuvring from that lower helm. But of course, in nice weather, it's just nice to be able to get out of the wheelhouse up here and taking the view and also taking the elements. But yeah, the Flybridge really is the star of the show when it comes to the deck layout. Right, let's go and look at the cabins. The lower deck spaces are as flexible as the spaces elsewhere. This particular boat has got 2 doubles amidships, both en suite, and there are 2 twins right forward. But you can move that around. For example, you could have a huge full beam master amidships if you preferred, and there's lots of space down here. Even these communal lobby areas are huge for a boat of this size, and there's loads of storage. This is a dedicated storage room. Down here is where you'd have the fridge, the extra fridge that I mentioned up in the galley. This tucks right underneath the stairs. You can put all your luggage away really easily. You can even put a coffee machine down here, so you don't have to go up to deck to get a coffee. It's just really flexible space, which as a liverboard, people are going to be looking for. There's a day head on this side, totally separate to the other cabins. Every cabin's got its own bathroom, plus you have the day head. And then through another door, the laundry room. So you've got your washer and dryer in here, but also lots of space to stow all your laundry gear, detergent, all that stuff can go in there. There's even more storage space behind me. Towels and everything, bedding, can all be squirreled away in this room. It's a really sensible use of space on a boat like this. Let's check out the cabins. They are absolutely identical. So I'm just going to go into the port side one. And when you think that this is sharing the footprint, the beam, with an identical cabin, it's a really impressive space. Loads of room around this bed. Again, head heights well over probably 6'7" inside this cabin. A whole wall of storage over there for clothes. A bureau on this side with a TV mounted up on the wall. Hull window, pretty small, but it is an Explorer style boat. You're not really expecting to have huge amounts of glazing running down the side. Though you could have an opening port there if you preferred. Of course, the whole boat is kitted out with air conditioning, and each cabin has climate control. There's a switch on the way in, but the boat's also running C-Zone, so everything can be controlled from an iPad. Lighting, AV, the works. You can all do it from a tablet. And then the bathroom. Considering every single cabin has got a bathroom, these are a nice size. The toilet's tucked behind the door. Big separate shower cubicle. Nice that has got a hull window. It would be good if that opened, so you could let the steam out, but again, that's something you can have as an option. And of course, we've got all of this repeated over on that side. But just imagine how big this space would be if you were going to go for the full bean owner's cabin. The only thing I would mention is I can hear the generator pretty clearly. Of course, through that bulkhead is the engine room, and it's a hell of a space. Wait and see that later on. But it is quite prominent coming through that bulkhead there. So maybe a bit more insulation would be good. Let's head forward. You have to remind yourself what size boat you're on with these passageways. I mean, look at the size of this space. It is pretty remarkable. Now, through there is the crew cabin. And as an option, you can have a door straight through to that. At the moment, on this boat, you can only get into it from on deck, and that will make more sense when we look at the crew cabin later. When we do that, bear in mind, this is where your door would be for the crew to get in to the cabin spaces. Right, let's look at one of these twins. The same on both sides. Something that's a bit strange throughout the lower deck accommodation is none of the doors pin in place. So they swing a bit when you have them open, which is quite annoying. Just a simple magnet, but a bit of an oversight you wouldn't expect on a boat like this. Back to the space though, again, it's huge. I mean, having the windows so high and the bed so low does sort of enhance the feeling of space in here and the amount of headroom you've got. Again, loads of room between the berths, and they've got drawers underneath it as well. Again, storage is not an issue in these cabins, both through that, and again, another really big wall of storage over on that side. Nice big bedside table with your reading lights and repeater switches for the lighting throughout the cabin. And yeah, they're a really nice place. They could probably be a little bit bigger, to be honest, but they're still a reasonable size. And of course, we've got the private bathroom, passing the bureau and the TV, like in the doubles. And actually these work a little bit better, this orientation, because the toilet isn't trapped behind the door, so it feels a little bit more spacious. You've got a nice big counter here with your sink, storage underneath and overhead. And these have also got a separate shower cubicle with the rain shower head. So they're really nicely finished. 4 really good cabins on board this boat, would work really well for charter. Of course, if you want a really luxurious sleeping space, you can go for the 4 beam owner's cabin. Okay, now we've seen the interior, let's go and poke our heads in the engine room. How about this for engine room access? All on a switch. Up she comes. It's not the fastest in the world, but it does give excellent access once it's up. And don't worry, there is a separate access point. If you lose power, then there is an access point from the cockpit. You'll see the access from a ladder inside. But when it's up high enough, it's very easy to drop down first into a little lazarette, and then we're through into the engine room. Yeah, I mean, the excellent storage continues down here. What a space this is. You can really do with this what you want, to be honest. Obviously, it's a very good storage space. All the cleaning gear is stowed down there at the moment. You've got ropes up here, cleaning supplies, there's space for multiple sea bobs. You could have bike racks in here too. You could rack it out with dive tanks, fishing equipment. You get the idea. You can really use this space for what you want. Thing is, it's clearly built like a tank. You have all your electrical systems tucked over there, but then there's things like this which just let the side down a bit. The deck shower just sort of hanging loose. That should be reeling or coiled at least. Just little bits of finesse here and there that could do with improving, but there's no issues with that inside the engine room. Let's go have a look. Now, as I mentioned, this boat has got the smaller Cummins 425s. You can have Cat C32s in here, much bigger engines that will propel this to an 18 knot top speed if you really want to. But if you go for these, the sort of slower cruising option, look how much space there is. They're such diddy little engines that they just wallow around in this enormous engine room. It's so easy to inspect on them, work on them. It's a genuinely quite pleasant place to be. I mentioned this ladder access, so this is underneath the seating in the cockpit. If you don't want to use that hatch at sea, or for whatever reason it might fail, you can still get down here and not have to use that hatch. You can see we've got the twin fuel filters here, so you can switch across if you need to. In terms of fuel capacity, well, it's absolutely vast because you've got it across 2 tanks on either side, 2 wing tanks. There's a day tank and a main tank. So you've got plenty of license there to move fuel around, and you can polish it as well and keep the fuel nice and clean. Right in the middle we have the hydraulic pack. This is for the thrusters and also for the Sleipner fin stabilizers. A pair of generators, 1 on either side. And the most remarkable thing is just the amount of room that I've got in this area, and they've segmented off some of the machinery. So the water maker, for example, is right forward underneath the crew cabin. So everything isn't crammed into this space, which is what makes it such a pleasant area to work in. Right, talking of the crew area, let's head forward and have a look at that. 4 berths in total, 2 identical bunk cabins, 1 on this side, 1 over there. And actually, they're pretty good, you know? The bunks are a reasonable size. It's not a massive clamber to get up onto the top bunk, which is good because there isn't a ladder. There's storage down here. This one's got a bedside table. The top bunk hasn't, unfortunately, which is a bit frustrating, as they're simply running their cables up to the bed for their devices. They have at least got a reading light up there, and you'll notice the head heights right forward here are still really good. Storage, not too bad. There's full height locker over here, and they share a bathroom. So this isn't a mess area at all. There's no living space down here. It's just sleeping and bathroom. Well, that's more of a wet room, isn't it? You can see the shower over there drains down onto the floor. Over on this side, they have some basic facilities. There's a fridge, you can have a microwave down here, but this is where the internal door would be. And as I said, I really think you have to have that. So you are going to sacrifice some of this storage space to do so. But I think it just transforms the way that these cabins work, because they're actually quite good for kids. You're not going to want kids in here and they have to go on deck every single time. So as I said, internal door, transformative for this space. I really like the premise behind this range. I imagine quite a few people have been put off the idea of having a boat like this because they have to put up with quite dowdy styling. Well, this answers that question. Up here especially, it feels like a luxury yacht, but down there it can truly do the hard yards. There is some finessing to be done. This is the first one, and it feels like that in places. They can certainly iron out some wrinkles, but I think this is a really promising direction for Outer Reef to be going in. They tried it with their own Trident range, but this certainly feels like a strong start to this new adventure range. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and whether you'd have this or a Nordhaven. Thank you very much for watching that tour of the Outer Reef 780. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a like if you did. And if you do enjoy your Explorer yachts, well, have a watch of our tour of Maverick. She's absolutely epic. I'll put that up there for you. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do that by clicking up here. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer.